I was also thinking, you can also be Goldie, Frankenstein, and Merv. Just a thought! Just spinning the wheels back there, spinning the wheels. And this is actually a true story. I was told that, I read somewhere, that during the Cuban Missile Crisis, there was the negotiators were together, and there was a stalemate. And there was a lot of tension, and they didn't know what they were going to do next. So they decided just to take a break and each of them tell a funny story. And one of the Russians told this joke. What do you get, or what's the difference between capitalism and communism? Answer, in capitalism, man exploits man. In communism, the opposite is true. And the joke worked. And the tension broke, creativity filled the room, and the negotiations continued. There's a lot to be said about the power of humor in bringing community together and in moving us toward peace. So it's probably no surprise that there would be humor in the way God talked. Now, we don't normally think of God as teaching with a sense of humor because we don't see anywhere where people were laughing or where he was laughing, even though we see all those pictures of Jesus laughing. But if you understand a little bit of the context of the stories, you start to see that actually some of these teachings were quite humorous, even if at first they don't seem so. So tonight, this is a big experiment. It's the first time I've tried this. I wanted to have us all together explore a little bit about Jesus' teaching in Matthew 5, where he says, if someone strikes you on the right cheek, turn the left cheek. And then he goes right into the next teaching. If someone takes your coat, then you give them the cloak as well. And the third teaching, if someone asks you to carry their pack for a mile, you carry it a second mile. Now, usually when we hear those teachings, what we think is it's important for us to practice submission and be happy to help people out and put our needs aside. And that's all very well and good. What's important to remember is that the people that Jesus is teaching about being, get struck in the cheek and giving away your cloak and carrying the pack, is those people are probably peasants, and the people that are doing the striking and the taking and the having the other person carry are either landowners, wealthy landowners, or they're Roman soldiers. So they're people that have power over the peasants. And so if we think about it in the way that it's usually understood, Jesus is asking people to endure abuse, which is probably not what Jesus intended. So one of my favorite theologians, Walter Wink, has shown some demonstrations about how these things work, how the peasants would have understood them. So I thought we could explore a little bit of that tonight. So I was going to ask Tom, would you come forward for a sec? Tom Brakovich, you come forward. I thought you're going to be honored in a few weeks, so you're going to be in front of a lot of people. So I'm going to give you a little practice. That was Tom. Let's hear it for Tom. I'm going to ask you to be the striker, okay? So you're going to be like the person that's going to be
This is
hitting me.
non-rehearsed, by the way.
I know, this is all improvised. So you're so game. So you're going to be the person I'm going to be the poor person that's going to be struck, okay? So if I'm being instructed, though, by Jesus to first be struck on the right cheek. So if you're going to strike me on the right cheek, so that would be this cheek, how are you going to strike me? That way. Yes, exactly. Now, some people automatically want to go for the hook, like the hook on this side. But, see, you would never use your left hand in the ancient world. And do you know why? Does anybody know why? It's your toilet paper. Yes. That's right. Now, when I do this in Iowa, I think more explanation. Exactly. So, so you would have to use your right hand, and you'd strike me, not to hurt me so much, but as to sort of put me in my place, right? That's kind of a slap of shaming, right? So if I'm been kind of an uppity slave or a wife or something, you would do that, right? Now, if Jesus has said, now when they do that, offer your left cheek, what are you going to do here? That way. Okay, or you might, which is actually something that only equals would do. That's kind of a boxing sort of thing. So what, that's not Yeah, and you wouldn't do that either because only equals box one another. So what I've done actually is stop you in your tracks from continuing to publicly humiliate me. Now, what you might do then afterwards is have me flogged or jailed or killed or something like that. So, not that you would. You've got that lovely dance to prepare for, so you've got other things on your mind. But publicly, I would be, as a peasant, showing that I'm not going to put up with that sort of oppressive behavior anymore. So cleverly, I've set you in your tracks. And what can you do but say, even if you put me in jail, like, that person, they wouldn't let me strike their cheek, you know, so that makes you look kind of silly too. So, I'm not a silly person. But let's hear it for Tom. Soap, so that'll help you. Yeah, so that'll help. Yeah, Mary Kay can put some of that on, and